It's Friday, October 16th, and this is now on HNN.
I just wish that it was set up more for Kama'aina.
As the traveler testing program gets started, some report issues and confusion over the rules.
It was quite confusing. There's a lot of misinformation.
Tragic news out of Schofield Barracks. A dog fatally mauls an infant.
And the price tag keeps rising. The latest cost projection for Honolulu's embattled rail project is $10 billion.
We feel like we have this huge connection to the islands.
These stories, plus we'll talk with the president of Alaska Airlines, coming up on This Is Now.
Good afternoon on this Aloha Friday. Jonathan and Ashley here coming to you from the H&N Digital Center. A lot of news to get to today. Let's go to our top stories.
That's right. The health department says another patient with COVID-19 has died, bringing Hawaii's official death toll to 185. DOH is also reporting 89 new cases today. 68 of them are on Oahu and 21 are on the Big Island. Thousands of visitors and returning residents came to Hawaii on the first day of the state's PreTravel testing program. Casey Lund is back at the airport with an update.
You know, we're hearing about people that are having trouble getting a test, and we're hearing about folks that really had no issue. Their insurance paid for it, they got it the same day, and it really wasn't a problem. But I want to talk to David Millwood, owner and operator of Hawaii State Tours. David, I just want you to kind of detail some of the challenges as you're trying to welcome some of your groups back to Hawaii that you're running into as we start this pre-testing program.
Thank you. The challenge is we had a group that was originally over 60 people, and now we're down to 35. It's a smaller group. And the cancellations, a lot of them have been just recent. We had 2 families canceled just 2 days ago. And here they're looking forward to this trip, the trip of a lifetime. One of them was because they're trying to bring grandma along. They know this would be their only chance to get to Hawaii. And they just want to do it when it's a little more hospitable, I guess, or easier, not so complex to try to get out here. They had trouble getting the testing for their child at one of the trusted partners. The child was 11 years old. And so they did find a lab that was willing to do it, an independent lab, the same exact test that was being offered by the trusted partners, by the CVS, but that would not have been accepted when they came to Hawaii. Reaching somebody to ask questions is also very difficult. We've been trying for days to contact, and it says send an email. You send the email, we're not getting answers back. You call the office, and you're getting voice recordings, and the voicemails are full. So it's very difficult to get answers when we do have these questions.
I want to talk about one other interesting thing before we go, is what those groups are able to do once they get here, specifically for Oahu, Honolulu County.
Well, again, a good question. You say once they get here, already we're finding, the hotel has certain stipulations in place, such as not being able to hang out in the lobby. So they're giving very specific instructions. The people have to sign a document when they before they arrive into the hotel, saying that when they get off the elevator, they have to walk straight to the vehicle. No hanging out in the lobby. They've roped off all the furniture. It's just not as aloha and friendly as what you would hope. We're not able to get the fresh flower lei greeting that's so anticipated. It's such a symbol of aloha. When on the motor coaches, now they are allowing 50%. So if they allow 25 people on a motor coach, that's great. The motor coaches are safe. They're the air conditioning systems, everything. But the problem is when you get off of the motor coach, what do you do
separate into groups
because
of
of
five,
this tier system? It makes it real difficult.
To wrap this up, I just want to ask you what you'd like to see the city and county do to maybe work with operators like yourself to accommodate some of these. It's not really a huge group.
Well, and again, I think it's just a matter of being flexible. We had to come up with the plan, and they did, but it's outdated. It needs to be modified. The fact is we are having these people go and get the test. They're coming here with a negative test. Lieutenant Governor Josh Green mentioned about Tahiti, where they gave second tests, and they found that most people did not have the virus. Well, if you're being tested and you're traveling together on the airplane and you get here, let the people be together and do what they need to do for their tours and their groups, I think.
Very good. David Millwood with us from Hawaii State Tours. Thanks for sharing a little bit about your perspective. important conversations to have as we begin to allow visitors back into the state of Hawaii. At the Daniel K. Inouye International Airport, I'm Casey Lund for This Is Now.
Well, with the first day of the state's pre-travel testing program in the books, Maui Mayor Mike Victorino talked to our Grace Lee today about how things are going.
It went fairly well, okay, and I'm being very gentle in this respect. I knew there would be challenges, just not as many as that showed up. Two of the main challenges, we have 6 flights that come within 2 hours of each other, starting from about 1:30 to about 3:30. 6 flights came in, and 3 of them came in within 20 minutes of each other, which made the backup of passengers just overwhelming. And I know people were getting frustrated. We were doing the best we could. So we're looking to put more screeners today and maybe help alleviate that backup, or at least reduce it somewhat. The second part of it was this trusted partners and test results. And I believe the LG, the Lieutenant Governor, and the Governor and some others are looking at it this morning. They made some concessions yesterday. However, we need to get a better process when it comes to reading these approved negative tests that are done correctly and with the right testing. However, it's not an approved, trusted partner. I think we've got to move away from that for a little while until we get, and according to the LG, there are many more that want to come aboard. Well, let's wait another couple of days, get these others aboard, and then start to really use trusted partners instead of, what's happening now, getting people in limbo when they arrive.
So, Mayor, just to clarify, are you proposing that you allow visitors inter-island or trans-Pacific to come in with a negative result of a test wherever they can get it and not quarantine on your island?
At this time, yes. For the next few days, until we get all the bugs worked out, I would like to make sure that, and again, we could have the Department of Health or someone in that profession be there to read the codes for us so that we know these are legitimate codes and legitimate results. And I can tell you, there are people that brought us yesterday 3 tests they took from 3 different places, trying to make sure they had an approved, trusted partner. And this one guy didn't have any. All 3 were not, but all 3 were negative. And all 3 were reputable outlets. So, this is where we're having this challenge. People are taking multiple tests. This guy spent almost $450 getting all 3 tests. I guess he wants to come to Hawaii. What do you think, Grace?
I think so too.
On Oahu, at the case levels we've been seeing, Tier 2 reopenings will go into effect next week, Thursday. That means indoor activity for gyms, group fitness classes, and personal care services can resume. Arcades, helicopter tours, and legal short-term rentals will also be allowed to reopen.
And when we get to Tier 2, we got to stay below the average set, or we could end up moving back. We don't ever want to go back. We want to keep going forward. We're going forward, not backwards. And I know we can do it.
Mayor Caldwell acknowledges the return of travel may lead to an increase in cases. He is asking residents and visitors to be extra cautious with social distancing and proper hygiene.
Let's toss it over to Howard Dykes, who has an exclusive one-on-one interview with the head of Alaska Airlines.
Each airline made its own call on how much airlift to restore to Hawaii and when. Some airlines, like Hawaiian and Southwest, are delaying that. Ben Minicucci is president of Alaska Airlines, which restored several routes yesterday when even Hawaiian and Southwest were holding off. So the first thing I want to ask you, Ben, is what sort of stuff went into your decision to proceed now?
Good morning, Howard. It's great to be here. Well, Hawaii is so important to Alaska Airlines. It's funny. This week is 13 years ago, we launched our first flight to Honolulu 13 years ago. So we feel like we have this huge connection to the islands. For us, we felt that there was pent-up demand in the Pacific Northwest and along the West Coast. So we went from 3 flights a day. We launched 8 yesterday, 2 to each island from Seattle. And then by the end of the month, we'll increase that to 13, and then through the holidays up to 19 from Portland and San Diego, San Jose, Anchorage, and Los Angeles. So we're very excited to do that.
Is there any difference between the number of bookings you're getting for the immediate future, like several weeks ahead, and the bookings that you might be seeing for farther out, like January?
So closer in bookings are definitely stronger. We're seeing strong demand closer in. And then further out, it's not as strong further out. So we're seeing closer in booking, demand being stronger. But we're seeing demand to Hawaii, just as we've opened it up. We're seeing strong demand for people wanting to go to the islands.
And there are a lot of people in the Seattle area who take annual or semi-annual or biennial vacations over here, right?
Oh, yes. Hawaii is such a popular vacation spot. It's such a beautiful place for people in the Pacific Northwest to go. And I know so many guests that I've talked to and customers. I was doing my COVID test, talking with customers. They were just so thrilled that Hawaii was opening up. And, people just love being at the islands, just with the energy that's there.
You're offering COVID tests, yes?
Yes, we have a relationship with Carbon Health. We've set up a facility in downtown Seattle, so 3 days a week. It's totally devoted to Alaska Airlines, and so that's working well. We need more capacity, to be honest, so we're working on expanding the capacity so we can get more people through to get tests.
Officials say Honolulu's embattled rail project is now expected to cost nearly $10 billion. Rick Daysog has the update.
The new price tag includes $832 million in higher construction costs and $841 million for interest payments. That brings the rail project's total cost to $9.9 billion. The rising estimate for construction is due to delays in relocating utilities along Dillingham Boulevard and a higher cost projection to build the final 4 miles of the project. Rail officials say the estimates are as accurate as possible.
That's burning at the backbone of this exercise with the entire team. The last thing we want to do is come out with overly optimistic projections and estimates.
But the mayor said today he still doesn't trust Hart's estimates.
There should be a third-party independent cost estimate done at this point. Not just relying on Hart's numbers, but third-party coming in. We've done this before. So we can then come up with a plan B to take to the FTA.
Higher than expected bids played a major role in the mayor's decision to pull out of the procurement process to have a private developer build the segment and to operate the system for 30 years. Hart board members urged both sides to stop the fighting and to cooperate.
There's no doubt in my mind that we have to get our house in order. When I say our house, I mean Hart and the city administration together. We have to present a unified front.
Well, I'm very concerned that we don't have months, we don't have weeks, we have days, and they're probably far fewer days than any of us really realize.
That's because at the end of the year, $250 million in federal funds will lapse, and the city wants to propose a new plan to the feds as soon as possible. Rick Daysog, Hawaii News Now.
A 4-month-old girl died after being mauled by a dog in Schofield Barracks. Sources say the dog attacked her at a home on Hall Street around 5 p.m. Wednesday. We're told the baby suffered head injuries after she was left unattended with multiple dogs. The baby was taken to Tripler Army Medical Center, but she later died.
We've learned that all of Ko'olina's lagoons will open for public access after a big outcry. Sammy Selena explains.
There are more parking spaces available to the public now, about 111 of them. And you can see that even in the morning, they're starting to fill up a bit. So here's the backstory. Ko'olina had closed the lot citing safety reasons. They also planned isolation in lagoons 1, 2, and 3 for hotel guests and vacation club owners only starting in November. But when the beaches opened up on Oahu, they kept public parking closed as a safety measure, which meant local residents had to take a long walk to get to the beach or be dropped off. Public access activists said closing parking lots violated a long-standing requirement that the resort provide parking for the public and access to the shoreline. So the city worked with the Ko'olina Community Association to reopen their 4 privately owned lagoons and open up more stalls. Activists say it's a step in the right direction.
Absolutely, we're happy with the progress that's being made on this front, and we would like them to be consistent with all city beaches, and that they shouldn't do things differently. So that's our hope, and we do see that they're making progress in that direction.
We are practicing social distancing in our parking lots as well. So parking lots that are first and fourth lagoons you will see are at half capacity to allow for social distancing, actually to help us monitor the capacity on our beaches as well.
The parking lots are open from sunrise to sunset. Sammy Salina for This Is Now.
And we'd like to welcome Sammy to the H&N family. Good to have you. Hey guys, it's raining out there in parts of the state. We got Billy V in for Guy with an update on what could be a somewhat wet weekend for some.
Thank you very much. Let's go ahead and bring you your forecast and get you through today and the weekend. First of all, over in the waves, 5 to 7 feet surf swell due today up here on the North Shore. 2 to 4, and we get a pulse over here coming up on Sunday on the town spots. East shores are 1 to 3, and that's down because the trade winds are, well, we've lost them 3 to 5 over on the west side. Let's go ahead and take a look first at your satellite radar and show you what we've got here at this current time. We've got the cold front, which is right here and is coming across Kauai and Niihau, and also Oahu could see showers as well. But this cold front is pulling up moisture from the south, so that means Hawaii Island, Maui County, actually the whole state could see the possibility of some heavy showers. Let's go ahead and take a little bit closer look at Kauai and Niihau. You can see the shower activities there. They're going to be wet for pretty much of the day. There's a 90% chance of showers for the Garden Island. Now, as we look forward from today into next week, you got your 7-day forecast here. You can see those rain showers, and we'll start to put this in motion. Kauai and Niihau, notice that the front is pretty much stalling here, and so the rainfall is concentrated right here in this area. As we continue through Sunday and even into next week, Monday and Tuesday, you can see that rainfall is still concentrated here in this area. Now, with the light winds, only 5 to 15 miles per hour all the way from today through Tuesday next week. That means if we have any kind of significant rainfall, that could mean localized flooding because that rain doesn't move. It just kind of sits there. So this is something to keep an eye on. And once again, as you go from Tuesday through the rest of next week, you can see it's not until Wednesday and Thursday that that moisture finally lifts. As always, you can get the latest on air, online, on your mobile device, and at HawaiiNewsNow.com.
Halloween will look a lot different this year because of the pandemic. And if you still don't know what you're doing with your kids on October 31st, no worries. The Mothership Podcast has you covered.
Okay, first up, we want to welcome back the editorial director of Honolulu Family Magazine, Christy Young. Thanks so much,
Hello.
Christy, for joining us again. It's good to see you.
Good to see you guys. I see you on Facebook and I hear you all the time on the podcast, not in my head, you know.
Well, you guys must be so busy at Honolulu Family Magazine. I mean, Halloween, a lot of folks are looking forward to celebrating it this year, but there's still a lot of questions about what exactly is going to be happening. How are we going to celebrate?
Definitely. And I think you can see that because we launch a Halloween corner on our website every year. And we launched it again this year with crafts and snacks and events. The events usually we can kind of plan out a couple weeks in advance. But right now they're still coming in on October 14th. And I know a bunch of places are still trying to figure out what to do. So I think everything's going to be a little more impromptu this year. So don't feel like you're missing anything yet because more things are coming up every day.
And tell us about all of the events and scheduled activities planned for Oahu.
Definitely. So I think one of the most popular things, of course, are the drive-through trick-or-treats. You know, that was the first thing to launch and everyone was talking about it. So Mari's Garden does that haunted trail for kids 9 and under. I just checked and it's completely sold out for the kids 9 and under. But if you have 9-year-old kids who are a little older in Honolulu Family World who go a little later, there are still some openings that I saw online. I don't know if they're going to expand it, but it looks like they're all sold out for the littler kids. Fortunately, Aloha Stadium is just launching their truck or treat. The ticket sales start on Friday, October 16th, so you haven't missed anything. That one's going to be a drive-through at Aloha Stadium. There's going to be more than 30 stations, and they're all by businesses. So it's going to be like Panda Express and Dunkin' Donuts and Farmers Insurance and a lot of Storybook Entertainment is going to be there. You know, the group who always brings us our favorite superheroes and princesses. So I'm guessing there might be a cameo there. So that's starting, again, ticket sales Friday, October 16th. The haunted house at Aloha Stadium looks like it's sold out as well. So you have to move pretty quickly on these trick-or-treats. Fortunately, several shopping centers are just starting to send in notice to Honolulu family about their events, and a lot of them are starting to do drive-through trick-and-treats as well. Smaller scale, you know, it won't have as many stations, probably not as many scares at your window. I'm a little petrified myself of having someone scare me in my car when I don't have anywhere to run. So this might be a good option for me. There's also quite a few, like the Hawaii Food and Wine Festival is doing their Keiki in the Kitchen virtual party. And I think it's great because you have the option of buying a cupcake decorating kit for $35 with everything you need, or you can register for free and just decorate with what you've got at home. And they have Adam Richman hosting the virtual party. I was just taking a peek at what local chefs I believe are going to be there. And I think I saw like Michelle Carr Ueoka from MW Restaurant, some cameos from some local chefs. I think Mark Noguchi, I think I saw on the list. So that should be a really fun virtual party that you can do for free, or you can get the kit and not worry about having to make something at home.
Don't forget to download Mothership Podcast anywhere you find your podcast. They're doing a good job there. You guys, you know the holidays are upon us when the Postal Service releases new wintry stamps like this. Aw, little wildlife there, wintry scenes, frosty landscapes for your holiday cards. You can see an owl, some Clydesdales. Those are really gorgeous. And that little bunny, a cardinal. Yeah, all sorts of options there. I'm really hyping it up, but to be honest, I wouldn't go this route for my holiday stamps. I would want something a little jazzier.
More fun, more festive.
Yeah.
Does that remind you of home, though?
Yeah, that barn,
right?
definitely. And Cardinals, you know, they were such a big part of where I grew up in the Midwest, especially with the St. Louis Cardinals. You'd be flying around all the time. They look so gorgeous in those winter scenes. You can get these stamps anywhere. You get your stamps pretty much from the U.S. Postal Service, especially online there. I shouldn't say anywhere because they're only at the post office locations and anywhere you find them online, I should say, through the U.S. Postal Service.
Very cool.
Yeah.
And if you're a child of the 60s or 70s, you might remember the soda Tab. Well, it came in a dark pink can and was Coca-Cola's first ever diet soda. Tab has maintained a small but devoted following through the years. However, after nearly 60 years, Tab is being discontinued. Coca-Cola says it's one of the several underperforming products being eliminated from its brand lineup by the end of the year. Coke previously announced that Odwalla juices and Zico coconut water would be among the discontinued brands too.
All right, you know, the pandemic has some folks learning some new hobbies. Let's turn it over to Nancy Chin.
Karen Maynenti has not played a musical instrument since a bad violin recital in second grade, but that changed in May when a friend gave her a ukulele.
I'd never touched one before. I always thought it was really cute looking.
The Manhattan artist now practices every day with weekly virtual lessons. It's a welcome distraction in a world of uncertainty.
You're not thinking about anything else. You're thinking about literally where to move your fingers, what sounds you're hearing, you know, what's happening. And I think it is a huge relief from those everyday thoughts of not knowing.
Musical instrument sales are soaring across the country as people use their time at home to try something new. Stores are seeing more women and younger customers than before.
Guitar Center saw its total sales grow 85% in August.
Some of the categories we've seen specifically that have been really kind of uptrending are acoustic guitars and keyboards. Clearly, people have had those on their bucket list as items they wanted to learn how to play.
Guitar Center sales have nearly doubled for keyboards, nearly tripled for acoustic guitars, and more than tripled for electronic drums, as learning something new strikes a chord.
I think it's just been really meaningful to bring something new into my life when you see so many doors shutting down.
Music never sounded so sweet. Nancy Chen, CBS News, New York.
That's going to do it for this Aloha Friday edition of This Is Now. We'll see you back on Monday.